All right. If you wonder where I was, a plug. Literally, it came undone. Good morning to you. What a start. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show. Nice to have you with us this morning. Broadcasting here at WSGW Radio, not in the Outdoor Magazine studio this morning, but it might as well be because Mr. Outdoors himself, Mike Avery, is with us this morning. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. You know what's funny? Yesterday in the Outdoor Magazine studio, recording this week's show, poor Charlie, in the first hour of the show, a computer crashed. So things happen, don't they?
They do. Also with us this morning from the MUCC, he is the Director of Development and Membership. We say good morning to Steve Wyndham. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, listen, glad your phone works because
there's always something.
It is always something. And, of course, we're here to talk about golf. Oh, wait a minute. Now, we'll do that later. So let me ask you guys, I had a listener call in the other day with a question. And I said, well, I don't know the answer, but I know who to ask. And this is a question apparently he's called you and asked you too, Mike. It was a question about the weekend free fishing and why we couldn't turn some of these outdoor activities into a free week of activities.
Well, that's a good question, and he has not asked me that, by the way.
Okay, good.
What is the thinking that if you're tied up working on the weekend, you can't take advantage of it, and just to make it more broad-based, more recreational opportunities?
and just more introduction to the outdoors and what have you, which is what it's designed for.
Yeah. You know, actually, I would not be opposed to that. I mean, if the free fishing weekend is designed to provide opportunities to get people involved, why not expand it to a week? I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it.
How about MUCC? Sure. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think, I don't actually have an answer to that question. I think it would probably be a good idea, if you have some people working alternative schedules and they're maybe in service work or gig work and the weekends are booked up for them, work in retail or restaurants, and they want to get out on a Tuesday. I don't think it would be an issue. MUCC does have a process that if that person is so inclined, they can become a member. They can submit a resolution to us, and we can bring it to our convention. And if it passes our membership, then we could actually get to work on expanding that for them.
And who makes that decision ultimately on things like this? That free weekend fishing?
It would be the DNR runs those, and so that would where MUCC would go to work lobbying and working with the DNR to expand that opportunity.
All right. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that organization because I'm going to start there. Michael, how is the DNR doing in terms of promoting the outdoor lifestyle and giving us a set of rules that make sense?
I think in terms of promoting the outdoors, I think they're doing a fine job. My concerns get to a more finite level, not so much in fisheries. I think they're doing a wonderful job at fisheries. Really, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that many people would take exception in fishing. It's the hunting side of things, and it's the deer hunting side of things. That's where I get a little bit concerned. That's where a lot of people get more concerned. You want to start a fight in Michigan, talk politics, religion, or deer management, whitetail management. So it's a lose-lose situation, really.
Does that revolve around the chronic wasting, or are there other issues?
Chronic wasting disease, CWD, is a big concern. And a lot of things go back to that, baiting, doe management. But the concept of, let them go, let them grow, that goes beyond CWD. It's an interesting situation these days because we want to do as much as we can to, again, try to get as many people involved in the outdoors. Yet, there is a concern that chronic wasting disease is a major threat to the deer herd. You can argue that back and forth either way. Chronic wasting disease is a problem across the country, and different states have chosen to approach it differently.
And has it been proven conclusively that baiting, because it attracts deer into a central location, causes CWD?
Not to my mind, but to many people's minds, it has.
MUCC have a position on it?
So currently, MUCC does not support baiting in the Lower Peninsula. We do support it in the Upper Peninsula. Back when this resolution was passed, again, this goes back to our grassroots member policy process, where the members of MUCC, over 40,000 Michigan hunters, came together, and at an annual convention, the vote was passed to not support baiting in the lower. There is some science that I think was referenced at that time around congregating deer and increasing the risk of disease spread. But again, we've also had a recent resolution come through us that would support baiting in non-disease counties. And so there's always an opportunity for any member to change MUCC's stance on an issue. But currently, as we do stand, we do support it in the upper. We do not support it in the lower.
All right, Steve, why don't you give us just a brief overview of what MUCC is and how it functions?
Definitely. So MUCC is the nation's largest, most successful statewide conservation nonprofit. We are a member-based organization, so like a Ducks Unlimited or a National Deer Association. We represent hunters, anglers, trappers, recreational shooters, and outdoorsmen and women. So we are here to protect your right to hunt, fish, trap, and shoot and recreate in the state of Michigan. We do that through four main pillars of education, habitat, advocacy, and communication. So our education platform operates the Michigan Outdoors Youth Camp, which I'm sure we'll talk more about when we get into the golf conversation. We also publish Tracks Magazine, which is a subscription magazine for young readers that introduces them and gets them familiar with Michigan species. Our habitat program, which is On the Ground, or OTG. We do over 30 different habitat projects around the state in both the Upper and Lower Peninsula, with invasive species removal, native tree and pollinator planting, rivers and stream cleanups, dam restoration, small brush pile building for small game habitat. And so OTG is a great way to get outdoors and get hands-on with conservation for every skill level and every age that wants to be part of the movement. Our advocacy work is really second to none. So as I said, we're a grassroots advocacy organization where the membership of MUCC sets our advocacy and policy process. And so when we do things like establish the youth mentor license back in the 2000s, that was a member-based initiative. We led the passage of Proposal G, which mandates by law that the NRC manage our game species with the best available science. We helped do the bottle bill back in the 70s. We actually overturned the boat ban during 2020 when the governor tried to say you couldn't go boating during COVID. And so our grassroots policy is member-based, and so our membership gives us our marching orders and tells us how to deal with the DNR, the NRC, and the legislature as well. And then finally, through our communications platforms, we have the Michigan Outdoors Magazine, which is a member benefit of the organization. We have the Michigan Outdoors Podcast, and then you can find that on all major podcast outlets. And then also the Conservation Insider, which is a great newsletter for anyone listening. You don't have to be a member. You can go to our website, mucc.org, and sign up for the newsletter. It comes out every other week, so you're not going to get spammed. But the Conservation Insider is going to give you a rundown of all the things that MUCC is working on and keep you informed about issues that impact your outdoor heritage and your favorite pursuit.
And you can join online at mucc.org, I assume?
Yep, for $35 a year, or you can actually get a 2-year membership for a discount.
It's a bargain.
The best place to go.
Michael, you are a huge supporter.
I am, because as I look around at the landscape, you know, there are many conservation groups in the state. But I don't see a statewide organization that has the impact that MUCC does. So that's why I've gotten behind these guys. That's why I've partnered with these guys. And that's why I try to help the cause as much as I can, because I think they're doing a great job. Do I agree with everything that they stand for? Of course not. But it would be unreasonable to think that one individual would agree with every aspect of an organization like that. Overall, I have much support, much respect.
All right. We're going to take a break, come back, talk more with our guests. There is a little golf in our future here we have to talk about, and we will do that when we return here on WSGW right after these notes.
Making your summer travel.
Our show, talking to Mike Avery in studio with us from the Outdoor Magazine, heard on the weekends here on WSGW, and from MUCC, its Director of Development and Membership. We have Steve Windham with us this morning. All right, let's talk a little golf before we get into some of the other stuff. But you started last year, Mike, a golf outing.
Yes.
And I was in attendance last year, and I have to believe for a first-year outing it was above and beyond what you anticipated.
You never know with a first-year event, as you are well aware, Art. I looked at last year as a proof of concept. Will this work? Are people interested? Can we raise money? Yeah, I was so pleased. We had a great response. West Branch Country Club is outstanding. The food was great. The course was great. The people who showed up, including you, were very generous. So, yeah, we're ready to go for this second year's event. I have a number in mind that I'm not going to put out publicly that we can raise for this year's event, but we're off to a good start.
But you have this organization behind you, don't you?
Yeah, this little group called MUCC. And actually, the concept of a golf outing came up at a Wednesday night live. People said, hey, Avery, what are you going to do this summer? I said, I'm going to play more golf. I'm going to fish more. Well, if you're going to play more golf, why don't you have a golf outing? I'm like, I'm not going to have a golf outing. Then somebody said, well, you can raise money at a golf outing. I'm like, okay.
Changing my mind.
Changing my mind. And if I can raise money at a golf outing and raise money for a cause, it's going to be outdoor related. Boom, boom, boom. Kids and the outdoors, MUCC's youth camp, and man, it took off.
And now MUCC is your main squeeze in this, isn't it?
Yes, MUCC, and in particular Steve Wyndham, who we're talking with this morning, is the coordinator of this whole event, and he does a great job. And I'm real blessed to be able to work with Steve and the group MUCC.
So Steve, have you ever had golf outings on your plate?
Oh yeah, I mean I've been almost 25 years in the development game for fundraising, and so golf outings are just another tool in our arsenal, and they're actually one of the most fun ones. Besides our Sporting Clay charity shoot, I think golf is one of the better ones as well.
So MUCC has been involved in this is the second year now, right? This is the second year of the tournament.
Second year of the golf outing, yeah, and MUC, and look, Steve has told me, Avery, as long as you want to have this outing and you're going to benefit MUCC's youth camp, we're behind you. So I think it's a good partnership.
And how are we doing in registrations and getting people involved? And is there still room for teams?
There is. There is still room for teams and sponsors. We do have our presenting sponsor, Security Credit Union, so huge shout out and thanks to them with their passion to get behind this. But we're just at the halfway mark almost, so we're about halfway full. We've got room for 144 golfers. We're going to have a full event this year. We're going to have lots of great raffles again, and so I'd urge everybody to get signed up now because as we get closer to July 25th, that urgency is going to pick up, and you'll start to see more and more registrations every day. You can register as a single golfer. We'll pair you with somebody fun, or you can have a foursome, and then some of our sponsorships already include a foursome along with them. So whether you want to come out and get that recognition and get that interaction with our golfers and our fellow outdoors men and women, or we even had a family last year that brought their young son, and I think he was about 6 or 7, and he just rode along for the day with his dad, and they had a great time too.
And how does one register to play?
Yeah, MUCC.org/golf. It's got a dedicated landing page. If you can't remember that, just go to MUCC.org, and there's an events tab and a drop down at the top menu. You'll see golf under there, but MUCC.org/golf. You can click there. You can get your sponsorships. You can get your registrations. We are taking donations still for donated items, for raffles and giveaways. And so we're going to have a lot of great things for people to walk away with that day.
And cost to play?
Cost is $125 per golfer. Or a lot of our sponsorship packets give you a bit of a break there with your foursome included or with your golf included. And so it's $125. You're going to get there in the morning. We've got free range balls. We're going to have a light breakfast with some donuts and coffee and some breakfast items. We're going to tee off at 9 a.m. shotgun start. You're going to get lunch at the turn as well. And then after your round of golf, you're going to get a very, very delicious, fabulous steak dinner. West Branch Country Club did an outstanding job last year with our meal, and we're going to have that again this year.
Yeah, we should point out this is a full day. I mean, you really have encompassed the entire day here.
Yeah, it's a great day. Outings take a little longer than a normal round, but, it's a lot of fun. We've got some really cool challenge holes this year. We'll have some Beat the Pro options, closest to the pin, all of your normal stuff. And this year we're working to have a an AR golf ball launcher as a donation on one of our par fives. So that's going to be a fun new.
I can't wait to see that one, Steve. When you mentioned that the other day, it got my attention right away.
Yeah, it's a neat thing. They make an attachment for a sporting rifle that you screw onto the end of the barrel. You fire a blank round out of the chamber, and you stuff your golf ball down the receiver, and it shoots your golf ball down the fairway for you. So if you have a mean slice or a hook, all you got to do is have good aim with this. For a donation, obviously.
Well, yeah, because the whole thing is
everything is.
The whole thing is it is a
Fundraiser.
fundraiser. We're there to raise money, but if we can have some fun while we're at it, why not?
And the date again is
July 25th, Friday, July 25th at the West Branch Country Club in beautiful West Branch in beautiful Ogemaw County.
Yep, absolutely.
And you'll be there, Art.
Yeah, we'll be there. We've got to force them in.
Yep, good.
Looking forward to it. It's gonna be a fun event. It always is. It's and I'm glad it did so well last year, because that portends good news for the future. Because when you have an event that starts out that strong, it continues.
I have a lot of generous friends. I mean, I think it's a good situation because I can reach a lot of people. I push it very hard. I have a lot of very generous friends. I need to get MUCC and their entire network and their fundraising network and the people there. I just think it's a great partnership.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, if you come out and golf, there is an opportunity to join MUCC while you're there, because they will have a sign-up table.
It's so cheap, Steve. I cannot believe
it
that you guys only charge $35 to be a member of MUCC. I think the membership is worth much more.
Yeah, my box of 30-06 ammo, I think, was $42 last season. It's great to know that I'm a life member of MUCC, and there are opportunities for life membership. We do have, lots of ways to get involved with the organization, from volunteerism to conservation policy board to even just being a member. But knowing that someone's there always looking out and protecting your right to hunt, fish, trap, and shoot gives me a lot of pride as well. And I can't think of anything better I'd be working for.
Let me, just before we take a break here and set up the next segment, there are always a number of significant issues concerning the outdoor lifestyle. Mike, if I said to you, pick one, what would be your number one issue right now in the outdoor lifestyle?
And you know what my answer is? It's the same thing every time, Art. It's not an issue as much as a mindset, in that the men and women, the hunters and anglers of Michigan, have to decide to quit infighting, to get off social media, to quit bashing each other online, and say we're going to get together and decide. And it's like a kumbaya thing. I don't like that part of it, but we got to quit fighting, and we got to get together, and we got to work together for a common cause.
There is an old saying: "There's strength in numbers."
And that's what I say about MUCC. The more people we can get involved, the stronger the organization is, and the more power we have in Lansing. Steve,
what do you see as some of the leading issues, or the number one issue right now?
I'm going to agree with Mike. It's that, we need to come together, and that, we sometimes tend to think that it's not my problem or someone else is taking care of it. And yeah, MUCC is taking care of it, but if there's an issue or a policy, like Mike said, you don't agree with everything that we do, but the very unique thing about MUCC is that you have the chance to change the things you don't agree with at an organizational level. And so if you have an issue, a topic, you can change your organization. It's not anyone in the offices in Lansing sitting around making decisions on your behalf. You actually have a voice within this organization. And, currently we have about 40,000 members. Could you imagine if we had 250,000 members? I mean, there's 1 million license holders between hunting and fishing in the state of Michigan. If we had half of that number, the legislature, the DNR, the NRC, none of them would really take any action before coming to check with us. And so we see states across the country losing certain rights, losing certain hunting methods. MUCC is the rock in which that wave breaks on, and we need your support, and we need your voice to make us a better organization.
All right, guys, hang on. I'm going to take a break, and we will be back with our guests. And if you have any questions for Mike or Steve, you can give us a call at 989-752-6111.
It's that time of year again.
And welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. In studio with me, Mike Avery from the Outdoor Magazine, heard weekends on WSGW, and from MUCC, its Director of Development and Membership, and he is Steve Wyndham. But it would not be a Mike Avery show if I did not play the sound and have Mike tell you what it is.
Oh, my goodness. That is the sound of Art's Rapid River knife locking back open as he just pulled it from his pocket, as he always carries it every day.
Correct.
Oh, and by the way, here we go. And he's not the only one who carries a Rapid River knife every day. That's
Very
the sound
good.
of
Thank
my
you very
knife
much.
rocking back open.
Steve, you got it. It's a big joke. I'll tell you, it's fun. It's fun, but what great knives they are.
And wait till we get the new signature edition to benefit
Yes.
veterans and first responders.
Yes, there is going to be a Mike Avery Rapid River knife.
There is. I think God put me in this position to reach a lot of people so I can try to do some good. And the Rapid River knife will be one example of that, and the golf outing with Bennett raising funds for MUCC. You know, Art, you've been in this world for a long time. When you reach a lot of people, you got to get involved, and you've certainly done your share over the years, so you get it.
Well, I get involved. I grew up with a father who told me, and you got to remember now, I grew up in the Bronx, New York, not exactly a local community, you know. But my dad said, wherever you live, son, don't just live there, be a part of the community. And I took that to heart.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the way it is, and that's why organizations like MUCC are important, because they take up the work and makes for a better life for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about a couple of things that occasionally hit the news. Wolf hunts. How have we done with that? Have we made any significant progress?
You asking me or you asking Steve?
Both of you.
All right, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so it's still a federal issue at this point right now with the federal government. Our executive, our CEO, Amy Trotter, she was actually at a conference out west, not that long ago. What we're hoping to do is that the federal government delists them nationwide, and then they're able to be relisted based on small geographies and recovery goals in certain areas, not a blanket sweeping listing. And we'll have the ESA, or the Endangered Species Act, stop being weaponized to keep wolves off of, a game species. We did hear from the DNR when I was up in the UP back in February that they are ready to go. So as long as they're delisted and the federal government takes action and does their part, the DNR needs a little time to go through the steps and procedures, and hopefully there will be a wolf hunt in the future as long as the feds can do their part for it. So MUCC has been on the wolf advisory team, the management plan, the whole time, and we are ready to get this enacted when we're able to.
And let me ask a question. Maybe I misunderstood over the years. Did not the federal government delist them at one time and then relisted them? Is that what happened?
Yeah. So when an animal like the wolf gets delisted, there's a legal process that can tie it up in litigation, and then through other legal processes, they can basically be forced to be relisted. So it's a tool and a weapon that animal rights groups and extremists or anti-hunters, they utilize it to tie things up in legal battles, and then it does not go through for us to, we know hunters are the best tool for management, and there does need to be some serious management done in the UP.
Are the antis simply because the wolf looks like a dog? And we have a certain internal sympathy for dogs?
Steve, I'll take that, Steve.
Yeah,
I think yes, to some degree, Art, certainly. But I think the antis at their core, and we're talking the hardcore, the big groups here who are constantly against us. It's any hunting opportunity. It could be a coyote, it could be a wolf, it could be a bear, it could be a whitetail. It's anything they think they can get away with. Yes. It's hunting at its core. They do not believe it.
Yeah. So do you see the federal government looking at it? I mean, is it something that's on their calendar, or is it something that you have to keep going back and forth and reminding them they need to do something?
Steve?
Yeah, so we do play in the federal game as well. And so the last I heard, there had been a bill introduced that would do this, that would delist them nationwide and then allow for geographical relisting based on recovery goals. So I don't know where that bill stands at the federal level. That would be a great question. You can email our info box, and Justin Tomei, our policy guy, info@muccc.org. If you want more information, you can shoot us an email and we'll get back to you and give you all the specifics and rundown. But, as I said, the state here and the DNR in Michigan is ready to go when the chains have been taken off and to get this enacted.
Another one, and again, I'm speaking as an outsider to this. I love the outdoors. I'm not a hunter, but I love huntdoors. And I often heard about a dove hunt. Is that still on, or is that what's happening with that?
We had a dove hunt. No, we had a dove hunt.
Yeah.
And again, the antis got involved and challenged it, and the hunters. This is my perception. The hunters of Michigan said, "Okay, we will use a dove hunt as our sacrificial lamb because we're not dove hunters, right? We had not been dove hunters as a culture like many states had, so we said, okay, we'll give them the dove hunt if they leave the rest of it alone." And when it went to the ballot, the Michigan hunters did not support it. So that's my take on it. And I have heard from the folks in Lansing, do not look for dove hunting ever to come back. That was our one chance at it, and there is not the will in the DNR, the will in Michigan, to force a dove hunt, just like there is a sandhill crane. You've got to pick your battles. Right now, the DNR is putting a lot of emphasis on CWD, and they can only do so much. They don't have the funding. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the mindset to get into all these other battles.
Steve?
Yeah, so Michigan is a referendum state, which means that we do have the ability for citizens to lead ballot initiatives. Now, on a positive side, Proposal G was passed as a citizen-led ballot initiative, and that was a great win for, natural resources and our outdoor heritage. Doves were lost, as Mike said, through a ballot initiative. And so there was enough signatures gathered to put a vote onto a ballot that said we want to, in law, not allow a dove hunt. So codified into the state legislature. So having a dove hunt ever come back would basically be a miracle. It would take the legislature to take action to remove that law from the books. And that is where we, as we said earlier, we have to come together when issues like this creep up. You saw the issue in Colorado where there was a ballot initiative to ban mountain lion hunting. That failed, thankfully, so those hunters still are able to do that and have that method of take. Yeah. But we are a ballot state, so any of these issues can come up on the ballot if one of these groups has enough power, if they have enough signatures, and it can go to a vote. And dove hunting, as Mike said, was lost because there was millions of dollars pumped into an advertising campaign to convince the general public that dove hunting was bad. And, there wasn't a group like MUCC that had enough funding to counter that advertising and that information campaign. And so it went to a vote and we lost dove hunting.
All right, one more break and then we'll be back to close out and remind everybody about golf and other issues when we return.
Be the hero of your office. Swing.
From the Outdoor Magazine Show, heard weekends on WSGW, and Steve Wyndham from the MUCC. One last